dream again. You can reach again. Is that the message of second chances? Try it again.
Try it again. In other words, don't give up. There's so many times we give up at the point of our breakthrough.
Come on.
So my motto is, in order to win in 210, you got to put behind 209.
Oh, say that again.
In order to win in 210, you have to put behind 209. In other words, like Paul in Philippians 3. You know, we got to put those things that are behind. We got to forget those things behind. And we got to reach. And when he talked about that, he talked about like a runner reaching for that finish line. You got to stretch out for that thing. And so you can't give up. If anything worth having is worth working for. So, and there's no progress without sacrifice. So we have to reach. We have to press through our situation no matter what it is. You got to press through that thing. If God have birthed something in you, it's like a woman, you know, pushing that baby out. You got to push that thing out. So, and I encourage people, don't give up. Don't give up on your dream. Don't give up on your goal. Don't give up on whatever God have put in you. Keep on working for it. No matter how many people turn their back on you, no how many people that say that you can't do it, you have to keep on going.
And you said something. I'm learning that time can be your friend. I'm learning, I was reading something the other day where it talks about how diamonds are made, that some have taken millions of years to be made, and how gold is processed. It got to go in the fire over and over and over again. But those are the fineries we want. Are we willing to go through the process for God to make you and
Great
make
question.
us the vessels of honor?
And that's the question. Are you willing to allow God to mold you, to shape you, to bring you where he needs you to be? And a lot of time, our situation, our circumstances, the thing we go through, God allows those things in our life to, for us to realize what he's trying to do through us. And in most cases, anyone who have become anything in life have gone through something. My dad once said, I cannot tell you about a cold unless I had one.
Couldn't tell you about a cold
unless I had one. So in other words, you have to go through something for God to show you that, you know, when you're still, when you're quiet, you know, when the children of Israel was at the Red Sea, God told Moses, tell them, be still and let them know that I'm God. So we have to be still. And God set us down sometime in those situations and through those circumstances to let us know that he is God. And that's when we realize those things inside of us that God has placed inside of us. And then we birth them out, you know, we bring them out then. But it's through those circumstances, situations.
There's a process, and everybody's process is different.
The ordeals I've faced in life, I realized that everything that I get now, I cherish. And I realized that it came from God. So I take the opportunity to whatever I get, if it's a relationship, if it's finances, if it's material things, I realize that it's God first. God gave it to me. So in other words, I use it for the building of his kingdom and not for my own good. But before I came to the realization, it didn't matter to me. And a lot of people, you know, so we talk about those talents. God have given us stuff, but we misuse it. And that's why we have to take whatever, if it's a gift, if it's a talent, if it's material, whatever, we have to share it. It's to give back to other people.
I talk about how the people say we're called. We're not called. I talk about how we're recalled. When you're not doing what you're supposed to do, like you said, God's given us gifts. And sometimes a person will go in the world and want to use their gift in the world, and then God has to recall them. And usually when you're recalled, that means you're not doing the purpose which the inventor or whatever they intended for you to do. You're doing something different. So God recalls us. Now, Second Chance Production, what is the vision? You know, what is it that you're trying to say, this is your second chance, now is your chance, God's calling you to do? What are you trying to tell people?
Our slogan is using art form to transform.
Use an art form to transform. You got lots of nice slogans. We're going to have to run them across the bottom of that.
In Romans 12, Paul talked about it. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed. So in other words, if anybody know about the movie Transformers or growing up on the Transformers,
I saw it.
In other words, it doesn't look like the thing that it transforms into, but it has the capability. So we're trying to get people to live out the capabilities that in their lives. In other words, transform. Transform into that good father. Transform into that good mother. Transform into that good son, that daughter. Transform into that good business person. Whatever it is, transform into that.
So you're saying renew your mind. You're saying it's not too late.
It's not too late. If you're alive, if you could breathe in air right now, it's not too late. So
that they can transform. So in your plays, we're going to have to talk about your play. And for those of you that are watching this show, we're also going to put clips of the play. It's awesome. It is funny. This man is hilarious. He's sitting here today. He's looking dignified. He's looking, you know, like I said, he's a genius, and you will see that he is. But in the play, I had to pause it and just laugh because I didn't want to miss the next part, because God so uses him to use the point around, and like they used to say, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So you use humor. And what are some of the messages? You know, let's talk about, you've written several plays. Now the last one is
My Man or My Child.
But before that, you have at least eight, nine different.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the final product, but you go from there. You tell the people what you want to know.
My Man or My Child, I'm sure everyone can identify with someone they know, someone in their family, in a situation where they have a child or children. And of course, you know, women today, there's 3 to 4 men to every woman today. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for women to find a good man. Mm-hmm. So in this play, Charlene plays my daughter. She's trying to find a good man. Of course, this man happened to be from prison. He's fine, you know, don't have a lot of things going on. And you don't have to be from prison to not have anything going on, because the economy is just bad these days. Yeah. So, so she has a son. And the son, of course, before this man, got all the attention. Okay. And now the man come in, and she feel that she finally found that right man. Mm-hmm. She look over the fact that he's from prison, you know, so, and a lot of times we look over the obvious. Mm-hmm. So she give him an attention because she want to keep this man. Mm-hmm. You know how when we get something that we desire, we try to keep it, try to hold on to it. Mm-hmm. So she tries to do that. And in the process, she neglects her son. Mm-hmm. And we've neglected a lot of things in our life because we're trying to hold on to other things. Mm-hmm. That God tells us to let that go, and I would give you what the desires of your heart. So, of course, I'm in the play, and I'm trying to convince her that she's making a mistake. And when people tell us we make a mistake, that makes us want to go and do it more.
Can I say something before you go too far? Because I'm going to let you go back with your story. But I don't want, like, if a gentleman's out here watching this, and you said she overlooked the obvious that he's from prison, but you don't want the people to think
it don't have to be the obvious. It don't have to be from prison.
Okay, yeah.
When I mean obvious,
because the people in prison can get rehabilitated, and God can turn them around. And
when I say the obvious, I'm talking about it could be abusive situation.
Okay,
it could
very
be,
good.
It could be anything. I'm not saying the obvious for him
won't
from prison.
Work. Right. You know, got other women on the side. Just,
exactly.
Okay, I got you.
The reason I use him as from prison, I wanted something to show that there was something that maybe she's not seeing. Okay. And just happened he from prison. He's had a hard time getting a job. Yeah, yeah. And she lost her, and that's being real. Okay. And all of us are in prison by something.
Come on.
You know, so when I mean the obvious, I'm talking about imprisonment, your mind, financially. So it don't have to be a physical prison.
Gotcha.
So when I say, you know, and the thing about it, we have to be realists. Mm-hmm. If there's something going on, let's deal with the situation. Absolutely. And Charlene was someone who did not deal with the situation. Mm-hmm. So she overlooked that, and Grandpa and everybody's telling her it wasn't about him being from prison. It's just for him. She's neglecting her son. Mm-hmm. So he could be anyone for that matter. Right. And neglect, it comes in different forms. Yeah. So the child acts out, and he gets into a situation where she have to refocus. Okay. Second chance. She had to refocus. Okay. And she realized that God gave her a second chance with her son. Mm-hmm. Can't tell you the ending of the play, but we touch on a lot of things. We touch on the church. Yeah. We touch on family. Relationship, we touch on social friendship. We touch on every social issue that there is. So we just really wanted people to see this, and because it's so prevalent today. And that doesn't matter what color you are, no matter what financial status you are, you deal with this situation.
Exactly.
So that's what we want to do.
Now, how can they find you? Because our time is running down. It seems like we just started talking, but our time is running down. But how do they find you?
They can find me by going to my webpage, www.second, SECOND, Production, PRODUCTIONS.B, as in boy, IZ. Okay. Secondchanceproduction.biz. Or you can call me at 612-840-3321. For those who are out of town, 1877-746-2401.
Okay.